Welcome back to Book Bingers, the podcast where two best friends talk about books, book boyfriends, book theories, wingspans. Today, we're delving back in to Iron Flame.
Ooh, we are back, baby.
We're here for chapters 8 to 14.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's dive in. Hopefully you watched the one before this. If not, I guess you're just jumping in the middle. I'm going to warn you right now. We go off tangent.
We say we're talking 8 to 14?
Mm-hmm. Probably going to bring up something from the book before, 10 chapters later. And we're going to try to stay on topic, but this is just what happens when you're with us. So,
you should know by now.
You should know by now. If this is your first one, why are you doing that?
Stop.
Don't
go back.
Don't start here.
No.
Okay, these tend to be a good hour long. So, we're going to try to stick to just the important things that jumped out at us in these chapters and not necessarily recap everything. You've read it, right?
You know.
So we're just going to point out
and here's the thing,
things that seemed important
to us. We read it too, but even going through this, I'm like, this was only a couple days ago.
Correct. But here we are. So we're starting off strong with
Conscription Day.
Conscription Day. It's one thing to cross the parapet your first year, but it's an entirely different thing when we're watching other people die. Let's go meet Sloane. Okay, it's Conscription Day. It's interesting because we've all brought up the fact that when Violet was walking the parapet last year, there was a storm a-brewing and her mom did nothing. But we've all brought that up. But until now, no one else has brought it up. Finally, someone says, you'd have thought your mother would have held off the storm last year considering you were crossing. And she says, clearly you don't know my mother. But isn't it funny? Like, all of their fourth wing, everyone was like, her mother must be evil because the storm came, all the different things. But no one in the book mentioned it until right now. Wild. Because I had talked about it 1,000 times. We all talked about that. That being the thing that must mean her mom was evil.
Do you think that it really was a stormy day, but her mom thought that changing that, could her mom change it? No. Maybe it was just a stormy day.
Maybe. And maybe her mom was like,
maybe she's not like Madame Morrible. She can't.
Correct. Maybe her mom was like, she's got to get through this on her own.
Yeah.
She's dead either way. In her mom's mind, she's dead either way. At least this would be a noble death. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Her mom is a real piece of work. There are moments where I'm like, yeah, and then there's moments where I'm like, why'd you end it like that?
I literally think I have a note somewhere in here being like, I'm so confused by her mom. Like, I'm so confused whether I like her or really hate her.
Because she'll have those moments where she's like, you're strong.
Yeah.
And like, I believe in you. And then she'll be like, hey, riders don't get carried. Riders walk. And she's like dying.
And I'm like,
you know what I mean? Like, huh? Girl.
We do find out in this chapter that Varish is friends with Dane's father.
Obvi.
And we're like, okay, well, that makes sense. So now we know what bucket to put him in.
Yeah. It's funny because that really is the key moment. Well, besides the obvious, like, foreshadowing in the opening of the chapter about Varish. But, like, that's the moment where you're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. You two are both assholes. Done and done. Like, Dane, do you never shake anyone's hand? You never thought to, I don't know, to your dad? You didn't accidentally use it on anybody? I don't know. It's weird. Varish sucks. Moving on.
He sure does. We also get introduced to Cam, a.k.a. Eric. Eric Greycastle.
Yeah. And, she's like, that's his middle name. I'm sorry. Like, your middle name is Greycastle? Cam Greycastle?
Tori?
What? Becca. Okay. And she's like, did you just make that up? Because it's awful. I'm glad she calls him out on that because it is really bad.
So he is King Tori's son.
Yeah.
And Violet grew up with him.
Hey, do you think he's, like, angry here, like, his jaw flexing, and he, like, doubled down on Greycastle? Because maybe that's, like, his mom's, like, maiden name or something about his mom. Like, his mom.
Where's the mom? You know what I mean?
Right. We only hear about
Here's another mom that we don't know about.
What's with the moms? This is giving Disney. There's always a parent that's like, something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
We hear about Eric and his brothers a lot. We don't hear about the mom. And we don't know all that much about the king, but enough to know I probably don't like him.
Correct. Enough to know the king, he seems like a showboat.
Yeah.
And
I think he's a puppet. I think someone's puppeteering him.
Yeah. I don't think that he really... I don't know that he knows the depth of what's going on.
Right.
I'm going to say that.
And then, of course, we come and we see Sloane. Oh, we also find out he's the third son.
He's the third son, but he's the next in line.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
That means 2 of them are dead.
But we know that there's a third one. Like, he's like giving up being. He doesn't want the throne.
Yeah.
Which is apparent from him being here. And Violet knows that if the king ever found out that he was here and in the Riders Quadrant, like, he would drag his ass back home. Like,
yes.
So his keeping his anonymity is very important.
Yeah. We find out that Eric's older brother, I don't know which one of the older brothers. Alec, but I don't know if that's the one right above him or the oldest, since he's a third. Either way, older brother died during threshing. Sucker!
That's Alec. He was killed by Xaden.
But is he the firstborn or secondborn? Do I know? Do I care? I don't know. But
who knows?
One of his older brothers, killed for being an asshole.
To Garrick.
Literally.
Yeah.
So don't be an asshole to Xaden's friends. Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sloane, here she is, same blonde hair.
Same sky blue eyes.
But definitely not the same training.
No.
Definitely.
Wild.
Not the same training. So, sorry, Sloane.
My question is, so how many other rebellion kids are out there that haven't been to school yet, that, like, haven't gotten the training, and now that everything has changed, like, are we going to see, like, a rescue effort for these other rebellion kids?
If I don't see a rescue of the baby...
Right?
I will lose my ever-loving shit.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Come on.
Yeah.
But also, maybe that baby has all the powers.
The baby is actually
who's like 3 now is gonna save the day.
The toddler with all the power.
It's like when the vampire children are just like, they have a tantrum and they take the whole world down. Okay.
It wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't mention vampires.
Listen, if I don't compare something in this book to another book I've read, I'm not doing my job.
Exactly. That or Harry Potter.
Or
Percy Jackson.
SJM or Percy Jackson. Who knows? Okay.
So she tries to give Sloane, like, some advice and to get across the parapet. And we see that Dane, is this the start of his redemption tour? He moves Sloane into Fourth Wing?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe
he's just...
Is this the start of their romance? Sloane and Liam.
Is this the start of
something new? Yes. I'm not going to give up on this. I want it so bad. I want a real enemy.
I mean, now that you say it, I'm like, oh, man, maybe.
You're going to pick up on it. Like, I'm telling you.
Slight age gap? Okay.
Just a little bit. And, like, there's no better story, I mean, than you killed my brother, but you're fucking hot.
Yeah, and, you know, I think Dane deserves some happiness.
I agree.
My sister does not. Hannah is in, she hates
I'm
Dane.
sure that Hannah hates Tamlin and Kale,
she
too.
Does. Kale, I think I could convince her on, but she hates Tamlin. And I keep trying
Even
to tell her.
He already redeemed himself.
I keep telling her, and she's like, no.
Hannah.
Come on, Hannah.
Is it a blonde thing? Do you hate blondes? Hello? My son is blonde.
Do you hate Cooper?
Do you hate my son?
What?
What did he do to you? God.
Now I'm going to go through every one of her friends and be like,
do you hate blondes? Do you have a single blonde-haired boy in your life? Justice for blondes. Okay, moving forward.
Hannah.
Yeah, it's a lot of, it's Liam's sister. And she's having to be like, selective truths. Like, we see Violet struggling with what she can and can't say. Because Rhiannon's like, why does she hate you?
Yeah.
What's happening over here? And she has to selectively decide her truths with, like, she blames me for Liam's death, all of that bullshit.
I said this was giving very Reese here. She has a moment when the dragons land on the parapet and we are going to see Solus just absolutely level everyone.
Oh God!
Let's
get to that.
She picks a piece of stray lint.
She's just like unbothered. You know what I mean?
I'm like, oh, it's very Reese.
I mean, it's literally Reese picking lint. Like you couldn't have said like anything besides lint. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, can we just get to that part, because up until then I feel like
we also get the first Kath's breath
smelling.
I just said it.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a little back and forth between Taryn and Violet asking about Varish's orange. She says he looks unstable. Mm-hmm. And Taryn is instantly on guard, he's there, why is he there? Do not take your eyes off of him.
Yes.
And then she says Dane really needs to check Kath's teeth because there has to be a bone stuck in there decaying or something.
Yeah. And something is italic.
Which always means
something.
But I want to. So what does this mean? What do these dragons' bad breath mean?
I don't know.
Is it their channeling? Is it a venom thing? Is it a magic thing?
She never brings it up again.
I know. We hear a couple of the dragons with bad breath. You know?
And we never know why.
It's not like she's talking to Dane that she could be like, Hey.
God, I really think that if Dane turned out to be Venom, I think that would shock me more than almost anybody else.
Would that be the twist of all twists for you?
It would. It'd also be kind of like the twist where I thought, if anyone's safe, it's Liam, and then she killed him. So, man, that would be a real bummer.
Dane and Xaden are Venom. She can only save one.
Well, that's a given. I don't even think it would be a tough choice for her. Now, if it was Rhiannon or her sister, maybe. But Xaden will always be her choice.
As he should be.
Interesting. Okay, so Solus is here. He's the worst. And we're going to see him literally just, I don't know, take everyone out.
Yeah, and so at this point, Ciaran?
Sure.
Karen?
Sure.
Karen?
Sure.
Don't know. Is dead. And so here we start if you have the roster of who is at Ressin.
Yep.
Here's one crossed off the list.
Yep. Immediately. As well as just others that he doesn't give a shit about.
No.
So, and Varish will say later that he can control dragons. And it's funny because I can't remember which professor, but one of them is Kaori.
Kaori.
Is interesting. So, did you make Solus do that at Threshing then?
So that's my question is are these Venom and the dragons who are, the dragons who have been pulled to the other side or are not answering or whatnot, are they being controlled by their riders?
Just like the Venom control the Wyvern? Yeah. I guess we'll find out with Sagal.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine her being controlled?
No.
Can you imagine Taryn watching her
This is
be
what I mean.
controlled?
I feel like that bitch will sever the bond before she's controlled.
Yeah, I think Taryn will make that happen. Taryn would kill Xaden before something. It'll be interesting. And
then we see Taryn shows up.
This is one of my favorite scenes ever.
Yeah.
Taryn, we've seen him be badass with fighting other wyverns and dragons, but this is the first dragon on dragon scene.
Yeah.
We get.
And he says, "You do not have the right to burn what is mine."
Because Violet's back gets burned.
Yeah.
During this.
Yes.
And do we ever she gets mended, right? I don't know. We never really hear any burn scars.
Yeah,
on
we
her.
don't hear anything about that.
Because I feel like she'd be
she definitely doesn't see Nolan.
No.
He's just
so it's
just
weird.
So used to her.
Because I've been burned by a curling iron and that shit hurts for days. So
plot hole. I don't know.
Plot hole.
Maybe. If Solus comes near you again, he knows I will devour his human whole and let him rot within me while his heart still beats, and then I'll take the eye I so graciously left him.
Fucking love him.
So we know that Taryn is the reason why Solus only has one eye.
Yeah.
So they have a history.
They sure do.
The warning should be effective for now.
For now. And it is. For now.
For now.
Chapter 9. And in the mountains of the Steelage Range, the green dragons
please
of the...
Please pronounce that.
Something line. known for their keen intellect and rational continence, offered the ancestral hatching grounds for the good of dragonkind, and the wards of Navarre were woven by the first 6 now Basquias. This is just nothing to me. Does that mean anything to you?
It's just, I think,
just like
letting us know that green
dragons
are smart,
yep.
and they're the ones who are going to be rational.
Yeah,
and
which I feel like I already
probably
knew
on the right
from
side
her
of
being
history.
In class in 4th wing. So I thought
like,
this was going to be foreshadowing to something.
Maybe Rhiannon and Fierge, like that,
and like weren't it the green dragons that were like sniffing at her, and she was like,
yes,
yeah. So it's like I feel like. I thought that this was going to be something, and that's why I highlighted it.
Maybe it will be this Grado Burnell, curator of the Scribe Quadrant. Maybe that will be important.
Maybe.
Because they were bad.
But at the time of reading this, I thought, that'll be important, and then nothing ever came up.
It wasn't. No.
Great. Moving on. God. There's just a lot of...
So we do find out in this chapter that information from the front goes to Basgiath before it goes to the king.
Yeah, again.
So the king's information is purely coming from the scribes. Everything is filtering through them.
It's giving...
Figurehead.
Mm-hmm. Sounds kind of familiar. But it's like, hey, he only needs to know what he needs to know.
Yeah.
Like, that's a tale as old as time is kind of what it feels like. That the king is actually the least powerful person.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so, confirmation on figurehead right there.
It feels like the King of England. Then we see Caroline Ashton again.
Yeah.
And I am just always going to highlight her. And why did I highlight here? I don't know, just because her name was there. But she's a bitch, okay? She's also like totally fine, she says, with violence in raising a few Paromish border villages, which are, we come to find out later, like the Paromish people are dealing with venin, and they're trying to come into Navarre, and they're getting killed at the border by Navarrian soldiers because the infantry, I don't know, you can't convince me that there's a lot of good infantry, because anytime we see them, they're fucking awful.
Well, I know that Violet has banged at least one, so...
They can be bad and good in bed.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all I'm saying. But we do find out that Rhiannon's starting to question things. She's really trying with Violet to like find a way to connect with her, and her and Riddick and Sawyer are all, they think the school is hiding something from us.
Yeah, and I
they think there's something going on in the healer
how
quadrant.
much she kind of gaslights Rhiannon in this moment.
She sure does.
Of just like, yeah, no, I think everything's fine. Like, Rhiannon's opening up to her as a friend should, and telling her, like, I think these things that if she were to tell anybody else would probably get Rhiannon killed.
Yeah.
And Violet just doesn't really listen to her or care, and is more like, oh, thank God, I thought she was going to ask me about something else. I thought we were going to talk about something else. And it really infuriates me how good Rhiannon is and how kind of crappy Violet treats her.
It's the worst. It's so frustrating.
It's really frustrating to watch, because I should be cheering for my main character the whole time, but in reality I'm like, hey, and Rhiannon never even really calls her out on it. She's just like, I know you're going through things, like,
Rhiannon gives her the,
I'm here if you need it.
It's okay, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's such a better person than me. I would have been like, fine, I'm done with you.
It really is kind of reminding me of how, like, Hermione is like, when Harry's being a dick, and she's like, we get it. I don't get it. Mm-mm. How do you children get it? Because is it a Capricorn thing?
I don't know, man.
Because I'd be like, this bitch.
You slight me once, okay. You slight me twice, never again.
I would be like, what is your fucking problem?
Correct.
Like, if you don't want to talk about it, I'd rather you just tell me I don't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Then lie to my face and tell me everything's okay.
I'm fine.
Ugh.
She thinks that there's something going on in the healer quadrant. Nolan looks like shit. And Varish is there. And the infirmary is now guarded. Find out that we're now in chapter 10. And in the epigraph of chapter 10, there's an official notice from Panchek to General Sorengale saying, I'm sorry Mira was targeted, but proud to say she dispatched this threat quickly. You have enemies, General. And I want to know, who was Mira targeted by at this point? Like, when was this?
Yeah.
And, does this just make us think that it's just a normal thing? Are they trying to make us think, like, it's just normal that people get threatened?
Yeah, and it's like... and Mira even herself, I think, downplays how much she was targeted for being her last name.
Like, is it just because she's a Sorengale?
Because Mira was in school before... Right? Before anybody with a relic was in school? Because Zayden's the first. First year, and I don't think they ever overlapped.
No.
So.
It's only 6 years ago,
That's a big age difference between Violet and her sister.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about it. And Brennan must be like a full man.
Again, maybe that's another reason why they
So
have
is
different
Brennan
daddies.
in his 30s?
Maybe.
Right? It's been 6 years.
Close to 30?
It's been 6 years since his death.
So say Mira's like maybe 26, 27. Maybe Brennan's about 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like a full man. Does he have gray hair happening yet?
I mean, he already died, so.
Truth. Or Dane action.
This chapter starts out with they're on the mats.
Yeah.
And she stares in shock because Nadine, someone had said, did someone say Sorengale at the end of the last chapter? And Nadine's being just like fucking around.
Like, I'm Violet
Sorengale. And
that's a me move. This is how I would die. That's exactly something I would do. Like, yeah, I'm Violet. Like 1000%. And this is how I would bye.
And then her neck gets snapped.
Uh-huh. What the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Clearly Venom. Clearly a Venom.
Yeah. And so then Violet says, I'm Violet Sorengale. And she has her daggers. Immediately starts flicking daggers.
Yep.
And Darna wakes up from the dreamless sleep. She's like, no, you need to go to sleep.
Yeah. She's like, no, I got this.
Oh my god. So then we start to see Violet like 2.0. Violet, who has been trained by Zayden. And she, drops behind the knees, slices his tendons like he can't get up.
Yep. She's like, I'm not going to let this fucker take me out. Like, I didn't survive.
Finally, we're seeing the turn in Violet where knows she needs to go for the kill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes. She says, I scrambled to my feet and turned back to the giant. So this man is like massive. Who already flipped himself onto his back as if impervious to pain. But he can't stand with what I've done to him. He can, however, reach for one of the daggers he dropped and throw it at me, which he does. She's not doing well by any fucking means. This guy is impervious to pain. Who else is impervious to pain? Venom.
Yeah. And he says to her, secrets die with the people who keep them.
Yep.
I'm like, okay.
His eyes are light brown but rimmed in red as though he's on some kind
of
drug.
Stop being dumb.
Hello.
Stop being dumb.
Hello.
You're the only one with venom knowledge.
You're the only one that knows what those red eyes mean. We've seen your mom with it.
I saw another video of someone being like, so is anyone going to talk about the fact that her mom was definitely venom?
Clearly. And maybe she didn't even herself know she was venom yet, but like...
Or I think maybe it just means there really is this like subset within venom of like good and bad.
I really have to believe that channeling can be good or bad. Yeah. I have to believe we have to see them be able to channel for light. Not all things have to be dark magic.
Because like 600 years ago, before dragons and had riders, there was magic. And so that has to tell me that you can't tell me that everyone started out with magic was evil.
In Doctor Strange,
yes,
how they're like, you can't use this magic, it's evil. And then they're like, well, she's doing it.
Yeah.
I can't think of her name.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton's character.
Yes.
Same thing in my mind. Like, you can use magic from the Darkhold.
Correct.
For good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
Oh my god, and I just finally read the second book in the Heartless Hunter
Yeah.
series, and there is a whole thing about how one of the witch's magic feels different, and it feels good, and the others are bad, and it's all from where it's coming
all intention and like light, like what you're using it for.
If intention isn't a very important thing in this series.
Right. I'm just saying, I think we're going to see channeling and venom and be able to use the knowledge and the power of the ground and the channeling and all of that. But the intention, just like Harry Potter was the only one that could find the Sorcerer's Stone because he wasn't going to use it for evil. Right? Like same things. Harry Potter, check it off your bingo list. Did it. Got it. Good. Woo.
And just to prove that no ideas are truly original.
Correct. We've brought up a Marvel, Harry Potter, and another book about witches, all in this one moment.
Just saying. So
all based on red eyes.
It's okay if some of these books that we read seem familiar, because truly coming up with an original concept is difficult.
Let me tell you, side note.
Yeah.
I'm writing my story. Completely decided to change it in my edits. Because I was like, oh, this
like
is feeling...
whole plot change?
Whole, like, the world building of it.
Okay.
It's from, like, classic, outdated, right?
Yeah.
Like, no modern. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going modern.
Okay.
But now I'm like...
You got technology now?
Yeah, now I was like, is this just Crescent City? How do I make it not... Like, that's where I was like, now I'm actively trying to not make it Crescent City, which is really fucking annoying to write... When you're trying to not specifically be like something else instead of just going the way that you want it to go and realizing like, oh, this is kind of similar to the same city, but different.
Yeah.
Because it's modern. And I was like, what other fantasy have I read that's modern
But
city?
when you think of your story, you think this works better in a modern world.
I think it's cooler.
Okay.
Yeah. And more original than like what I had been doing, which I was like, this feels like 1,000 other fantasy novels.
Then just go with it. And who cares if it's similar to Crescent
That's
City?
where I'm going.
Because
but to hone on, it's really hard to write things that aren't similar to something else. It's really hard to have an original idea.
But I think that as a reader, there's a comfort level when you read something and you can immediately be like, it's like this.
Yeah, it's like this. I think Rebecca Yarros is one of the best writers I've ever read. But even in reading her stuff, I'm like, this is really similar to XYZ,
It also makes me think like, these authors like all the same things I do.
Yeah. I haven't even compared it to the things that I actually, when I tell people what Fourth Wing, I'm like, did you like Divergent? Haven't compared it to it once, but in reality, I think it's very similar to Hunger Games, Divergent, Aragon, How to Train Your Dragon. To name a few.
Just elevated for an older audience.
Let it be known, though, I know Harry Potter really well, so I compare it to Harry Potter a lot.
In particular, I know Chamber of Secrets like the back of my hand.
One could say we are award-winning champions.
We certainly are.
When it comes to Chamber of Secrets. Because we are. Anywho, she goes and she hits that kidney once, twice, thrice.
3 times a lady. He's dead.
Stabs him, he dead.
Gone.
You wonder why our podcasts are an hour long? This is why. So, Dane tries to touch her. Again, no, fuck no. This poor guy is just trying to help his girl.
And she immediately tells, Imogen and Bodhi that...
Do not take me away. She's like, I'm staying. I'm not missing this day again.
Yeah.
I'm not going out the same way I went out.
Nope.
So she's like, I don't know, in the worst pain. That is her super strength, is like, she can tolerate pain.
Wild.
Like nobody else.
Dear Lord. She also immediately knows Colonel Atos sent him.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
But she doesn't pick up on the venom, which is annoying. She's clearly concussed. That's fine. But she's going to stay there. And then we get to see Sloane.
Xaden's back.
Oh, okay, yep, let's just jump to that. Xaden's back.
She sees Sloane. Sloane's awful on the map.
Sloane's so bad.
Awful. No
Sloane's
training.
like wanting to fight Violet. Are you insane?
Did you just see what happened?
Are you crazy? Sloane's the worst. And she's like, everyone's like, are you sure that's Liam's sister? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
She wasn't fostered with fighters and it shows.
Yeah.
But you know who's real badass and amazing? Eric.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he too perfect?
I don't know. I really like him.
I love him, but that makes me think, where's the flaw?
There has to be one.
There has to be a flaw. And I'm scared to see it. But I love the idea of like a king who's dumb and he knows the truth and he's like, I'm going to define my dad.
So we don't find out how he knows about that.
No.
Right?
No. But he knows.
So all we know right now is all the good. Right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is he the ultimate spy? Double agent? I hope not, because I really like him.
And you really want his dragon to be bonded to Indarna?
Kinda.
Mated?
Kinda.
You're not the only one. I've seen it a fair few times.
Do I want this to turn into a White Shoes? No. But I like the idea that it could be. I also know a lot of people want Sloane and him to be together.
Man, people just want Sloane with everyone.
It's like their connection to Liam.
Yeah.
I'm still rooting for Sloane and Dane. Personally.
Who's Kat gonna be with then? Because you know that Kat has to have a redemption tour.
She wants that crown. The second she finds out who Eric is.
That's true. Ugh.
Insane.
Ugh, I still don't like her.
She's like, you think I'm doing this for love? Girl, I want that crown. So okay.
Then Xaden's back.
Zane's back. Yeah, she's like, what's it like at Samara? And he's like, look at you asking questions. But she's still not asking the right questions, and that bothers me.
No.
Do I think Xaden takes this whole question thing a little too far? Yes, but I also think in the beginning, he's like, if you want to know, you need to ask. Because he's trying to push her to open up.
Yeah, and he's trying to make sure that their lines of communication he's trying to rebuild everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And she's also not telling him like that she's seen Jasenia, what she's researching.
Yeah, she's a real hypocrite, if you will.
Yeah.
He does admit that I have to prove myself all over again at what's arguably the cruelest outpost we have, and it's annoying. That's all he gives for that. Oh, Lord, I love him. But I imagine they're giving it to him hard over there, and I bet he's also trying to protect Garrick at the same time.
Oh, for sure.
So Xaden's
always doing about a zillion things at one time.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he doesn't even sleep.
Yeah.
But he wards her door, wards her room again.
Love him.
From sound, one way, for him and her. And she's like, for all the people I can't bring in. And he's like, you can bring in whoever you want. She's like, really? Because Rhiannon tried to walk in and end up on the other side of the hallway. He just has to hold her hand. So he didn't ward it only for the two of them. He warded it for anyone she wants to bring in.
And she immediately jumps to like, oh, so you can do that at your place. And he's like, no, mine's only warded for you. Like, when are you going to get it, girl? Like, ugh.
Like, you're it for him.
He's only said it 1,000 times. But she's really just harping on that he hasn't said I love you yet.
And the thing is, like, he's not going to say it, like, just to get her to say it back.
And he has even says that to her, like, I'm not going to say it because you won't believe it. But also, you said it to him and took it back. So clearly to you, it's just words that can be said willy-nilly.
She really gets so annoying. Oh my God.
So annoying.
Just say the words, Violet. It only takes 3.
She admits that she couldn't watch them all at Parapet. He's like, yep, get it. He also confirms to her, like, that he thinks Liam's death is his fault.
Yeah.
What?
The guilt is just going around.
And, you know, Liam's over here like, I don't blame anybody, and I would do it all over again if I had to.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If you believe that really was Liam, which I do.
I think
I think it
I
was.
would like to think it was. And then we get the iconic line of the first year is when some of us lose our lives. The second year is when the rest of us lose our humanity.
Yep. It's all part of the process, you know? And
then he has to go.
Yeah, and you know who makes him go? Bodhi. Do I highlight pretty much everything Bodhi's in? Yeah.
I'm a Caroline Ashton girl.
You're a Bodhi girl.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I really start to look into Bodhi. in a different way. And again, when you have a theory, you can make anything support it.
Yeah.
You're like looking for it.
Yeah.
So I fully realize that I'm looking for things with Jasenia and Bodhi. You keep over there looking for, what's her face?
Caroline.
Caroline in the city over here. Great.
And then as he leaves,
he wrote her a letter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is this the same Xaden? Is this the same Xaden?
I love it. And we do see once Imogen finds out about these letters that she's like, what the fuck? Like, Xaden does not write letters. Like,
can we talk about this next line? Because we were just talking about Bodhi.
Yeah.
Chapter fucking 11. Garrick has always been my best friend. His father is my father's aide, which in one way makes him my Dane, except trustworthy. After Liam, Bodhi was, and still is the closest thing I have to a brother, perpetually tagging along a step behind. I mean, I know I'm looking for it, but you
it's
wrote
right there.
it. You wrote
It's
it.
right there.
How am I not supposed to think that the guy perpetually tagging behind you isn't a little fed up that he's your cousin, your blood, but there's still two guys ahead of him that you like more than him? How would that make you feel? I know how it'd make me feel, and it's probably an origin story to a villain. I don't. It's Maleficent. It's Maleficent all over again, you guys. This is it. This is it. Take what you want from it. If I'm wrong, prove it. I don't know, because she wrote it. I didn't write it. I didn't make this up, guys. Becca wrote it.
But then also, I don't like that it says recovered correspondence of Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson to Cadet Violet Sorengale.
I know.
Recovered? From what? That sounds like...
Here's what I think. Basgiath crumbles.
And this was there.
This was there because she's getting it while she's at Basgiath. And it's recovered.
Okay.
Because he's alive. Okay. Whether they're together in the underworld or not, they're together. Okay?
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So, that's what I got moving forward.
Okay.
So, if that doesn't make you start looking at Bodhi, I don't know what will.
So, she's running with Imogen, smiling like a fucking fool because of this letter.
So, Jasenia comes into play right here, okay? I startle at the sight of Jasenia waiting in one of the shaded alcoves, tucked away like she's trying to hide. Hi, Jasenia. You might be hiding from everybody, but I see you. I see you. Anyways. That's a big deal. A scribe leaving their area.
Yes.
That's big. Some might see that as her being brave. I see it as it being shady. But okay. But she's there and she's like, hey.
She came to find Violet.
And she's like, I've got what you've been looking for. Again, we see Violet saying, I'm distancing myself so I don't have to lie to them. And I've been friends with Jasenia. And then she's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't owe anybody an explanation.
Yeah.
Don't you, though? That's my thoughts. I mean, if there's a scribe coming to see you.
Yeah, scribe cadets almost never enter the Riders Quadrant unless they're assisting Captain Fitzgibbons. 2 things she signs. And it's a copy of... She gives her a copy of the first 6.
Yep.
And I said, this is a copy. So, like, what gets left out of these copies is my question. It looks to be hundreds of years old. You said you wanted an early accounting of the first Riders when you returned the other book, she signs. This is one of the earliest I could find that's allowed to be removed from the archives. Preparing for another debate. And she says studying. Because she still hasn't let Jasenia in totally on what her plans are. She's still sussing her out.
Also, you know who else is sussing Jasenia out? Imogen. Because Imogen tilts her head gazing at Jasenia, and Jasenia signs, I'm not going to try to kill her. Her eyes widening. I wouldn't even know how. And she says, Violet knew how to kill just fine on a scribe's education. So Imogen doesn't fully trust her yet either. Like, just because you're a scribe doesn't mean you don't know how to kill, because the smallest of the scribes came in here just fine.
Correct.
Knowing how to kill with just her mind and her knowledge. So, me and Imogen are on the same team. Yes. And then it's an old, I don't know, Lucerish? Mm-hmm. And these fucking languages become
all these dead languages.
Real important. These dead languages that somehow everybody know, like multiple people know. You and Dane just like knew them, and Dane's an expert in one, you're an expert in one, and Justinia's an expert in one.
Seems real convenient.
3 different languages that are dead that you guys know? Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost as though maybe her dad was trying to train her to read certain things. I don't know.
I mean, her mom does say your father prepared you for everything.
Correct. And like, all right, so you and Dane passed secrets. Got it. Awesome. And then we find out that they're signing the sentence she's looking for, spelling out the last word, the name of an ancient king who lived 1,000 years before Navarre existed. And she's like, an ancient king? It bears a date from 25 years ago. What? Like, this is where I start to get really confused.
I know. And part of me thinks like, oh, well, we can't trust anything that's in the archives
Correct.
As Gaiath. You know what I mean?
But my brain hole is like, if an ancient king,
what do you
we're
mean?
talking 1,000 years ago. Up until now, we've only heard about like 600
years.
years ago. So we're talking an ancient king 1,000 years ago. Did he have a dragon, and is that Antarna's lineage?
Were there riders back then?
Fuck if I know, man.
You know what I mean?
We never hear about the ancient king. Like, we bring up an ancient king, and then we're like, just kidding. We're
what
not
about
gonna
the
talk
gods?
About him again.
Where do they...
Is he a god? Does he become a god? I mean, if we're talking about, like, you know, Greek stories, we see how many times demigods, humans become god figures, and I don't know, but why did you bring him up and then we never bring up an ancient king again? It actually infuriates me when I'm looking for things and I'm like, are we never going to talk about him again?
I know.
Cool. Well, now we know that something dates back to 1,000 years. Got it. Great. Thank you.
And then while they're going through all this, a scream rends the air. And across the courtyard, a second year from Third Wing is dragged from the academic building by Professor Markham.
Yeah.
And she signs quickly, like, I think that's my fault. What? I turned to face her fully. That writer requested a book yesterday, and I recorded the request. I have to record the request. It's regulation we both finish. You didn't do anything wrong. What was the book? And then she doesn't say, and she glances toward the doors where the writer disappeared. I should go. Thank you. What we do find out...
That's cryptic. Can we just read into that for a minute?
Well, we can, but then what we do find out is that kid, he had family who died, and he was requesting...
To find out the names or whatever.
The names of, like, one of these uprising, whatever, like, battles, what happened there.
Yeah.
So...
Jasenia kind of acts dumb in this moment.
Yeah.
She's not. She knew exactly what she was giving him and how dangerous it was. So that's where I'm like, you acting like, oh, it's my fault. I should go. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. It just doesn't.
We're going to have to see how they play it on screen.
Right.
Because that could be played several ways.
But this moment where we see this kid die... That really kind of sticks with Violet in the same way that she had seen...
Well, he doesn't die here. He just gets dragged out.
You're right. I got ahead of myself.
He does
die. She, like, these deaths where these innocent kids are dying really affect her.
Yes.
As it should. Yes. But it also shows that, you know, she's still got some humanity in her. And now as readers, we know just how important these books are being watched. Like, they're being watched, how important everything that's written is. Yep. This book really hits home how important scribes are and text.
For sure.
So, don't tell me that books aren't political.
Oh my god. The end of the chapter, they are looking at a map for RSC for their homework. And we find out, I just highlighted this because part of me thinks maybe this will be important down the line. And, Riddick says, why won't you just accept that I'm a land navigation god and ask for help like everyone else? Yeah. So I just think that we will see Riddick be important in this capacity.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really had a chance to see some of these side characters. Yeah. I mean, we just found out Bodhi's And we've only seen just a tiny smidge of Imogen's. Like, I think that we're going to see a lot more from these power players. And just as we see them have super awesome things, they're probably going to die.
I know. Oh my God. I think about it constantly. I'm like, don't let yourself get too attached.
I mean, listen.
Yeah.
So.
And then they get mail delivered. And Violet is instantly disappointed because it's from Mira and not from Zayden.
Yeah. I'm with her, though. I feel like I want more letters from him, too. Okay, and then we get into her father's research again a little bit more.
Oh, but we do find out in her letter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been redacted.
Yeah.
And there's black lines through it. And I have to think, and I wonder... Down the line, we see Rhiannon gets a letter from her family that has one of the like missives that was in the town.
Yeah. And
it appears that hers was unopened. So are they just opening Violet's mail?
I would assume.
You know what I mean? They're not opening mail to everyone.
Do you know how many people they'd have to go through to do that? Yeah. But like, where's the magic for that? You guys can like write without pens, but okay. Let's move forward to like Varish. Is annoying.
Oh, you were talking about her dad's research.
Yeah, hold on. I went past it.
More dreamless sleep.
We
find out her father was writing a book on feathertails.
Yes, and he says it's ironic, don't you think? Talking to her because she's like, I don't know anything. And she says, not ironic, coincidental. She immediately corrects a professor.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
The word you meant to say is coincidental. He says, is it? He seems to ponder, backing away and passing by Bodhi. Mm-hmm. My stomach turns. Is it? I know nothing of your father's research, Taryn says. So, is that true? Because Andarna does.
I know.
So you're telling me Andarna didn't tell you? Because maybe. Dragons are good at keeping secrets. But, do you not know anything?
Or is this another...
Is this another I'm trying to protect you moment? I don't know, but I hate when I don't trust someone I'm supposed to trust.
I know.
I see you, Bodhi. Yeah.
I am pretty... Violet is confident in this moment. We also find out that she doesn't think that Kaori knows what's out there.
Yeah.
She said if he did, he'd be teaching us faster ways to get off the damn ground, not land on
Correct. And she's right.
She is right.
Yeah.
This is where Bodhi name drops Cat.
This is another moment that I feel like this is so
Bodhi's walking her
big.
to the flight field so she can go see Zayden.
Yeah. And like he says, it's not like that for him. He says, like, in a lecturing tone, reminds me of Zayden. I've never seen him. Let's not do this. Care like this. No, really stop. And that includes Cat. Like...
Catriona.
She's saying, like, no, I don't want to hear it. Like, just stop doing this. And he keeps going. Why? Because he needs to put that doubt in her.
Yeah.
And then he immediately is like, oh, like,
What are the chances you'll forget that between here and Samara?
Yeah, he's like, you know what? I don't know you nearly enough to discuss. She literally is like, fuck you. How dare you bring up my sex life and my love with him? She says, I don't know you nearly well enough to discuss who I am or who I'm not sleeping with, Bodhi. And he's like, you know what? Yep. It's just giving everything I've ever seen in every movie or show where they specifically are trying to play the friend, but they plant that doubt in someone's head, and then they're like, and then they put it back on themselves, or they're like, you know what, don't say anything. I didn't want to cause problems. That's on me. Like, I've seen it 1,000 times. I feel it in my gut.
Is it that? Or is it he is a shit stirrer? He is used to being like bottom of the barrel, and he just
I think he wants to plant doubt on Zayden because he's jealous of Zayden in every way, shape, or form. Like, you've lived in it. His dad was the king. You've lived in his shadow. He's not even your best friend. Like, he doesn't even look at you as a brother or a best friend.
Yeah.
Like, it's the jealous. It's the little finger. The way that he did that, trying to bring down Sean Bean's character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same way.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't trust you. You look like Xaden, but you'll never be him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not. I hope I'm wrong, though.
We'll see
But someone has to be turned out of these cadets that we've met. Someone has to be evil. What kind of boring story is it if it's not?
Between Eric, Bodhi, Jasenia,
Rhiannon, Sawyer,
Riddick,
Garrick, Bodhi. Like, someone, if not multiple, someone has to be playing both sides.
Mira, Brennan.
I don't even think Mira and Brennan. I'm talking about this core
Just
at the school.
core?
The Basgiath crew. There's no way it's Imogen or Rhiannon, in my mind.
I hope. If it's going to be one, it's going to be Imogen.
I think it's going to be a guy, because I can't see...
You think because Xaden needs to just have complete
I think it's got to be against Xaden. Yeah. That's my thing. I think we've seen Violet go through it. I think it needs to be devastation for Xaden.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She got me good with Liam, so I don't know.
I know.
I don't know.
So she's getting on to Taryn and
again, who takes her there?
Bodhi.
And she even says, "You knew that was going to happen."
Yeah,
That's why you insisted on locking me out.
They thought, so he was testing out a theory. Luckily,
he says that they thought, but would Xaden have put her in that kind of situation? Right? We only know what Bodhi says to
Fourth
her.
Wing Xaden would.
Fourth Wing Xaden might have, but
beginning of Fourth Wing Xaden.
Iron Flame Xaden will
now
burn the world to save her. He wouldn't put her in a position where she could die.
Yeah. And she's very thankful as they're going through her books that she didn't bring the Gift of the First Six and that it's still in her room. Mm-hmm. And she said, not that it's taught me anything beside the fact that the first six weren't the first riders. Mm-hmm. They were simply the first to survive.
Yep.
So we think of these first six as like these godlike people, but like how many people, how long were they trying to find the first six? Do you know what I mean?
Clearly, there was a king 1,000 years ago. So, fuck if I know. And then we're on chapter 12. So Gal watched me kill another cadet for bullying Garrick during threshing. She says she chose me for my ruthlessness, but I think I just reminded her of my grandfather. This is him talking about Cam's brother. Eric's brother.
Yes.
However you want to call him. What do you think Segal picked him for? Maybe both. It can be both. Two things can be true at the same time.
I wouldn't doubt if, for the fact that we know that she lost his grandfather during threshing.
Is that right?
Is it?
We'll have to keep reading.
Part of me is like, how is that? How are they bonded then?
I don't know. And like, how did he have a kid? We got to keep going.
Yeah. But I could see her.
I also don't know which side grandfather is.
Yeah.
Mommy or daddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, give me Segal's story. Okay. God, when we start getting into geography, my brain starts to hurt. You know, we're high in the Esben Mountains, a mile or two from the eastern border. Okay, I feel like I can kind of visualize this area. But when we start going past this, I don't even
Correct.
know.
I have no concept of it. And so she gets to Samara and she gets to Xaden's room. It's empty. But then she follows their bond and she finds him fighting.
When do you think they're just going to admit that they're like mates?
Right?
Like
the amount of time she says like he feels like home, he smells like, am I scenting him? And
following his, pole.
Yeah. So we find him, he's fighting and he's fighting for a pass to spend time with her.
This scene. I can't wait to see this.
My God.
Listen. Whew. I also love that she's just like...
Has total confidence in knowing that he's going to win.
And his shield, like, that's not because they're talking to each other. She knows exactly what he's pulling his punches. He's not, like, giving it. She could have put money on it. Yeah. Like, she's like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. And finally she says, stop playing around and end it.
And he does, and he ends up giving half of the pass away.
Again, because Xaden's a good guy. Mm-hmm. We can paint him. I don't know why people paint. I know why. Because they're prejudiced assholes that just have images of, I don't know, what these people are like. But he's actually a really great guy. Fucking shit. I love him so much.
I can't wait to...
Reese walked so Xaden can run.
Absolutely.
Period. Okay.
She sees his room and stuff. Okay, and then... Finally, they start talking, and I have a whole big passage highlighted here.
Wait, okay. Is it the same thing where he says, like, this is where we find out that his second signet, which we'll talk about later, he isn't intrinsic so much where he can read their thoughts, only intentions. He really, and it's right before they make that feeling that he knows what they're going to do. But he even says, what are you thinking? Because I can read a lot into the way you're looking at me, but I'm going to need the words. Because so many times... He's like, I think I know, but I really need you to tell me. Because he's not a mind reader. And I get so annoyed when I see all these theories where like, he can read her mind. No, he can't. He cannot read your thought, like your mind. He can read your intentions.
Correct.
Your feelings. He's not a mind reader. So he still needs her to say the words, to ask the questions, to explain what she's feeling in those moments. Mm-hmm. And I love these little... like nuggets, Easter eggs that we get into that. What were you going to say?
We find out that the only thing that can kill a venom is what powers the wards.
Yeah.
And this is where I get like, I start to get confused.
Right.
Because it's like the daggers are made of the metal that powers the wards.
Yes.
The alloy Brennan mentioned. Great. So he pulls out the dagger and... there's like a little, the rune on it has a medallion, and that piece is the alloy. The metal is in the hilt. It's a specific blend of materials smelted into what you see there. It's not power in itself, but it's capable of holding power.
Okay, and
the wards themselves originate from the veil, but they only reach so far. These medallions hold extra power to boost the wards and extend them.
You realize that I have ADHD, so as I'm reading that, and even hearing you say it, I've checked out. Like, it's too much of an info dump in one point.
So people are stealing, so they're going and they're stealing. Are you telling me that what they're stealing are already daggers?
So then it says, what you just read, that the only thing that can kill the wyvern is that power, right?
But the alloy, but it needs to be imbued with power?
But then we also know that's not the only thing that killed it. Her lightning can kill it. And then later in the book, we see that she has this like conduit that she can fill up with her power. And that helps to make more daggers.
Right.
So why couldn't she have just been like, hey, lightning power, wards are up. Like, I don't get it. She clearly has the power inside of her, as they know, to make the weapons... used in the daggers. Why aren't they like, hey, you probably have it in your hands to just...
Imbuing is a process of leaving power in stasis in an object. A rider has to pour their own power into it, which is a skill not a lot of us have.
It's too much. It's the info dump on this is too much for my brain to actually comprehend.
I just don't understand. I need a visual. What does it look like?
Flow chart. Somebody make it for me.
Like, so when these griffin drifts are going into these outposts, what are they stealing? Are you telling me that Basgiath is with the luminary in the forge making daggers?
Or medallions? Like, I don't...
who's putting them into the daggers?
It's like, who's the Tinker Tailor soldier spy doing this? Like, I'm so confused right now on how these weapons are forged.
I feel so stupid. Because are you then telling me that that Xaden has a contact at the forge that is making the daggers?
Yeah.
Or But it doesn't make sense because if the drifts are going to steal medallions, so then you're telling me they're going somewhere with a forge to then make their own daggers?
Listen, there's a whole underground world of people making weapons, apparently, because this is where in stories, my brain can totally understand a magical sword better than whatever the fuck is happening here.
Orisha needs a forge to smelt the alloy to make more weapons. Yes, it takes a dragon to fire a crucible, we have, in a
AI
luminary to intensify dragon fire hot enough to smelt.
It's too much.
So dragon fire alone is not hot enough to smelt the alloy.
Nope.
So
in the what's crucible, hotter than dragon fire? What can do it if dragon fire can't?
Lightning? Is lightning...
But who's making the lightning if not
Violet?
Her? Like I don't know. You know, like how are they doing this?
I'm so confused.
Yeah. This is where I'm talking about. I love this book, but there's moments where I'm like, say what now? I don't follow. And if I'm not following, what is someone who isn't really read a lot of fantasy thinking when they read this? For like, this is their introduction to fantasy.
Maybe they just read it and they're blissfully like, it'll all be explained.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, chapter 13.
Great, yes.
Yeah.
There's just literal pages
I know.
of this
I know. It's too much.
Like,
it's too much.
Okay,
so,
chapter 13.
We find out finally that Taryn says, despite what you may assume, I am not 600 years old. So we know he's less than 600 years old.
He has confirmed he is not 600 years old.
Great. Perfect. Now, this is when she's going to get punished.
He does also confirm, I'm always holding back secret dragon knowledge, but wards are not among it. So, it's safe to say that any dragon that's alive right now that we've met so far, I don't think they know. Because I think they would do it. At least the ones that we know. I don't know anybody at the Vale. But
correct.
It's safe to say I don't think anybody knows how to do this.
No. So now Varish has taken her with Carr as a warning because Indarna's not showing up to flight maneuvers.
Yeah.
And he believes that he controls dragons because he's a fucking idiot. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder that Carr sends me a pleading look, his gaze darting to Varish. So is Carr basically kind of maybe on Violet's side a little bit, or at least not on Varish's side? Because we know Carr's an asshole.
Yeah.
But like maybe he's just an asshole, but he's not like on the bad side.
Yeah. They definitely like lay into like how bad of a teacher he is when she's like, they're like, what do you mean he didn't teach you how to like aim? That is weird, right? Yeah. And that like everybody else got taught how small to work with and to develop it. She never learned anything.
We rarely see her with him other than these random
moments.
sessions.
Yeah.
So Violet basically gets sent to burnout.
Yeah.
And to the point that Taryn has to take her and drop her in like a lake.
Yeah.
Because she's burning up.
Yeah.
And the other kids with the relics, like Imogen's the one to come, Bodhi's the one to come, Aya, I don't know what her name is. Yeah. Sure, she's going to be dead soon. It's fine. And they kind of take care of her. And, but, you know, Rhiannon doesn't know about this, and Riddick doesn't know, and Sawyer doesn't know.
Yeah. None of the people that are her OG friends are there. But what a stronger connection she's making to the resin crew, if you will. And I think that's why Bodhi's betrayal is going to hurt so much.
And then we're further in the chapter, back on the sparring mat, and we see this kid, Jasek, getting yelled at by Rhiannon. She's saying, pull it back, Jasek. And Imogen says, damn, I get that Jasek's channeling some serious, I think the word channeling is interesting to say, anger.
Yeah.
I've never seen him hit that hard. Jasek, like Neville Jasek, the second year from Third Wing Jasenia and I saw hauled away by Markham, was listed on the death roll a couple of days ago. So we know that he died. Yep. This kid on the mat is his younger brother. Now I feel bad for the guy, even though Sloane is in a similar situation. I think Markham had him killed, I whisper, because he didn't return a book on time. I think he asked for something that he shouldn't have, and yes, I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but there's no other explanation for him being found in his room beaten to death.
Correct. And Imogen says, you'd better be really, in italics, you'd better be really careful around your little robed friend if scribes are running out there ordering the death of riders.
And she said, she's
like, Jasenia isn't a threat. Yeah. But then we've seen Violet be...
Yep. She definitely is... It's giving her pause.
It's giving her... Yeah. And again, I feel like Imogen also... Who knows what Imogen has seen or done?
Yeah.
That
no one knows about? Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that we've seen her disappear before. So...
Who killed him in his room?
Don't!
I'm just, who knows?
Oh, good Lord.
Right?
Oh, she would be such a good double agent, though.
I know.
Like,
with that power,
perfect. Oh my God, what if her and Bodhi were working together? I'd die.
But she loves Garrick.
She loves Garrick, but how many times have we seen someone do something evil, but they love that one person?
Oh my God. And then they all get kidnapped.
Yeah.
For RSC.
Yep.
And we're at chapter 14. So this is the last chapter.
Yep.
And I don't love RSC. I'm just going to say it.
I don't either.
And they drink this. They give them each a water skin.
Yeah.
And they drink it, and the water is crisp and cold, but there's something else there too, pungent, earthy, and something bitterly floral I can't quite place.
Yeah.
What we find out is this cuts them off completely from their dragons.
And we've also found out that, like...
They've never done this before.
They've never done this before? So what did the years before do during these things?
This is... My question is, so is this coming from Varys? Is this coming from Nolan? Is this coming from, like, who is developing this? My guess is it's
Varys, definitely.
You
but
know?
I'm guessing he probably pressured Nolan into making it. Or, I don't know, but this feels pretty, like, intense potion making happening here.
Yeah, and immediately, like, Violet is trying to think about, like, what could,
Yeah.
Once she figures out, she's like, I'm going to find out an antidote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, she doesn't.
She doesn't.
Not yet.
But
okay, so either way, none of them can reach their dragons.
So now they get thrown in with infantry.
Given two different maps.
Healers, scribes, and of course we come across Bade.
What a moment, though.
Yeah.
But what's wild is he doesn't kill her.
He doesn't kill her. So maybe Taryn did,
But also,
is
he connected to Jack still?
Has to be.
Has to be, right?
Has to be.
So is Jack...
Because we find out Taryn says, like, Bade kept this from us.
So does Jack... Let's say our theory is right, which I'm not married to, but let's say our theory is right, that Jack does meet Malik. When he says that, he means it literally. Jack would then... His dragon, Bade, would have, like, been there with him through his thoughts. So is Bade maybe turning as well? Like, is Bade maybe becoming a better dragon than he once was? I don't know, because Bade's still in communication with those dragons, didn't tell him anything.
Correct.
I don't know. So maybe he knows not to harm Violet for other reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or is it because he's scared of Taryn? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, but we do see somebody die.
We see someone die, and we also see Violet save someone's life.
Yeah.
And that ends up coming back. That life debt comes back in a major way.
Yeah. For
our friend Eric.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he would be fucked. They would all be fucked, actually.
Yep.
So after... I noticed they say her eyes are hazy.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders, what does that mean?
I know.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Is Jack still currently in the
underworld? Do all of them have golden eyes? I think all of the dragons might have golden eyes. I start looking at colors, like, are these things
I don't know,
different?
because later she says that she can tell it's Andarna because of the golden eyes.
So maybe they all have golden eyes? I don't know.
I don't know. Or maybe hers are more golden?
Solus has one golden
eye. Is it just like, this is what dragons look like? To be fair, any picture I've ever seen of a dragon, they do have golden eyes.
See, so when she's talking to Bade, like, this year I'm bonded to one of the deadliest dragons on the continent. This is in italics, which has signaled that it's mind speak.
Yeah.
That's right. You might hate me, but I belong to Tarn. So in my mind, I'm like, is she talking inside, like, to Bade like that?
Right, because she probably thinks she's just talking to herself. But she might be.
You know what I mean? So part of me is like, I swear to God, she can talk to all the dragons.
Listen, and if our theory is right that once she's been around that power, she has it, then that would be, I don't know.
Bade draws back, then darts forward with an open jaw, snapping her teeth shut directly in front of my nose, pelting my face with saliva. But she doesn't do anything else. Do you know what I mean? Like, other than kill the one that runs away.
Other than that.
other than killing
other than that.
Tomas.
Yeah. And then, so does each colored dragon have like a different hatching ground? Because it says the northern Espins are believed to have been the hatching grounds of the orange dragons before unifications. So are those hatching grounds still like out there?
Maybe unification also brought all the dragons to the Vale too, and that became a unified hatching ground.
Crazy. Maybe we gotta go find some of these OG hatching grounds.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, but that's where we end. Wow.
A lot happened, and we're not
we
even
skipped over so much. And we're an hour and 13 minutes in. Y'all, you go ahead and let us know. I mean, we know we skipped a lot, so...
Yeah, what are the big things
that we just didn't touch on because we know you've read it?
Yeah.
So, are you following me with my Bodhi train of thought?
Do you understand what a luminary is and what smelting the crucible
can you
with
explain,
the alloy?
Can one of you draw me a picture?
It's all I need.
Listen, I'll even take like an AI, like...
I just need to know what is in the outpost.
It confuses me.
What is in a lure? What is happening?
I really thought that rereading this, I'd be like, I get it.
Clarity.
No, nothing. There's nothing happening over here.
Excellent.
Cool. Well, see you with the next 7.
Okay.
Bye.